What up, Cyclone Nation? My name is AJ Caldwell, aka Cyclone Kingdom, and I'm here with my boy, top tier Iowa State. What's up, big guy?
How's it going, guys? My name's Owen, aka Top Tier Iowa State.
And we are here to start, hopefully, the beginning of a very long and amazing journey here at Cyclone Central. We're an exclusive Iowa State podcast talking about Iowa State Cyclone sports, specifically men's basketball and football. Obviously, a lot of things interspersed within there. Jamie Pollard's comments, different stuff that comes up within Iowa State athletics. But more than anything, we are just excited to be able to give you guys an exclusive Iowa State podcast. Owen, how are we feeling?
I'm doing good, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning here in Central Iowa, and I think we got a lot to talk to, a lot of off-season talk. Some people think that's the best part of talking sports is the off-season because there's always so much to break down and talk about and discuss. So we should jump right into it.
Yeah,
We're
there
gonna start
is.
off today.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead. We're going to start off today by discussing some of the Matt Campbell stuff. I know it feels like forever ago, but recent stuff has come up in terms of Matt Campbell. So we're just going to be breaking down, kind of the legacy he left at Iowa State and how some recent comments he's made are impacting or could impact the future relationship between him and his former school.
Yeah, there's a lot there, man. I when we were initially talking about what we wanted to talk about for the first episode, obviously you would think when the off season you're just kind of racking your brain. Oh, we're gonna talk about all time this, all time that. It's like no, Matt Campbell's gonna choose our topic for us.
Yep.
He is.
Yeah, and
He is.
that's the kind of world we live in. But it is what it is, and we're gonna break it all down here on Cyclone Central.
Yeah, there is. I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe what's transpired. So I think we should back up in order to start because I think it'd be helpful for everyone to know, for you and I especially, where we were when we found out the news that Matt Campbell was going to Penn State, and just kind of how everything's transpired from there. Because that's a helpful perspective for I think a lot of people to have. Because at least for me, I don't know if it's the same for you, my perspective has drastically changed from the moment I heard he was going to Penn State. So the moment I heard he was going to Penn State, it was just a tumultuous day in general. I mean, we were following different tweets from, Cyclone Fanatic and Chris Williams and, oh, they're meeting as a team. Oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. And then you hear that he's finally signing the 8-year deal or whatever it was. And
Yep.
so when that happened, it was like, okay, he's gone now. It makes sense, is where my mind initially went, because based on the season that we had, based on the injuries that we had, it wasn't going to be productive for him to try to go through a third rebuild, so to speak. Whatever you want to describe the third rebuild as, I know that the following year, this upcoming year, he would have still had a lot of returning guys. But once you return for that year, you're basically locking yourself in for that next group of recruits. And so
Yeah.
any thoughts on what your initial thoughts were before we keep going?
Yeah, well, I've grown up watching Matt Campbell in the Matt Campbell era, and it's not even a debate. It's the best era of Iowa State football that
Yeah.
there's ever been. And so when I heard the news, of him leaving or potential rumors of him going to Penn State, I was like, well, we've heard this before. We've heard it with Washington. We've heard it with Kansas, with the NFL. So I just blew it off at first. And I think a lot of Iowa State fans did as well because of the fact that Matt Campbell has turned down, I wouldn't say better jobs, but jobs that have pay more than Iowa State and would be an opportunity for him to take his coaching game to the next level. And so yeah, I just kind of, I think a lot of people blew it off as like a thing. Oh, well, whatever. Penn State, they've been looking for coaches. They've offered like 5 or 6 guys, and no one's taken the job. But when it actually hit, when it started to sink in that okay, this is legit. He's in talks with the Penn State AD is in Ames right now at his house talking with them. Is like, oh crap, we could be losing Matt Campbell, and I think. In terms of the football team, in terms of the players in the offseason, it sucked how last season went, starting 5-0 and then losing 4 straight. But 8-4 isn't bad, and I think with all the injuries, it just made things way worse. But a lot of people thought that if he had stayed and if he decided to come back and coach. Everyone else, I mean, Rocco Becht would have been Ben Bramer. I mean, everyone would have came back for their senior year. And a lot of people think that this year's, hypothetically said, this year's team would have been the best Iowa State team potentially ever because of just how much they've. I mean, when you look at it from a talent standpoint, Iowa State, when they were 5-0, when they had beaten clobbered Arizona at home, beaten Iowa, I mean they were a legit top 20 team in the country before all those injuries hit. And so yeah, in terms of that, it sucks how it went. And if you have all those injuries, back-to-back years in 2024 with the linebackers and then 2025 with the entire secondary, would that next season be so jolly? Expectate because you're just there wondering is who's going to get injured next. What's the matter with this training staff, with this coaching staff where there's so many injuries. We have the talent, but if we're just going to keep getting all these injuries, then what's to expect? So there was that factor to take in as well. But I definitely think the legacy, when you look at it, really at any time, right now, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, the legacy that Matt left at Iowa State will always be remembered. And he put Iowa State football on the map. And just because he's not in Ames anymore doesn't mean it's not on the map anymore. People still care about football in Ames, and it's still a big deal. So that's definitely something we should remember and take into consideration here.
Yeah. No, you make a lot of great points. That the 5-0 start, I mean, and then how everything transpired from there, just bitten by injuries. I mean, I remember talking on Cyclone Kingdom once the slide started to happen, right? Rocco getting blistered at Cincinnati and really just never recovering from what was probably a very severe concussion. I said, if we don't get out of this rut, Matt Campbell's probably gone. I remember saying that in October or November. Well, then you finish 3-0, and it's like you finish 8-4. It's like, okay, maybe there's a chance that he comes back. You have, all these guys coming back. You're going to be probably a top 15, top 20 team going into next season. And then as you described, everything transpired. So what I really want to talk about and why we're discussing this in the first episode isn't just because, we want to remember the Matt Campbell era. The Matt Campbell era was great, by the way. Let's not, what I'm about to say doesn't discount what Matt Campbell did. The 2017 team completely changed a lot of our lives. I think when we talk about Kyle Kempt and Alan Lazard and David Montgomery and beating Oklahoma on the road and beating TCU at home, being a top 25 team for the first time in a long time, and just how everything transpired from there. The Brock Purdy year, winning a New Year's Six bowl, and just so many things that contributed to, as you described, the best era of Cyclone football. That doesn't discount what we're about to talk about. And you can have two of the same opinions or two different opinions with the same idea of we respect Matt Campbell and what he's done for Iowa State over the past decade. But what about now? What about what's happened since Matt Campbell's gone to Penn State? In case you've been living under a rock, let me catch you up a little bit. Since he's gone to Penn State, something's become very clear, at least to me. And I'm really curious to hear your take on this as well, Owen. But something's become very clear to me and I think a lot of other Cyclone fans. We love what Matt Campbell did for Iowa State. But Iowa State did a lot for Matt Campbell too. And it helped put Matt Campbell in these conversations because of the diehard fan base, because of the idea of you have Iowa State basketball and everything that brings to a school and them always being a top 20, top 25 team. Iowa State football was riding the coattails of that and then became the main event. So as much as Matt Campbell made Iowa State also made Matt Campbell. And what's been frustrating, I think, for me and for a lot of other Cyclone fans that I think I'm speaking for is since Matt Campbell's gone to Penn State, when asked about Iowa State, when asked about what was the transition like, when asked about, how did you think through all of that, he doesn't talk about the fan base. He doesn't talk about the university. He doesn't talk about, Iowa State did this. He talks about his players. And that's well and good, and that's all great, and that's, a great kind of mindset to have. I think every coach should value their players. The idea that Matt Campbell is valuing his players and his culture, so to speak, more than what Iowa State actually represented, I think is what has rubbed people the wrong way a little bit. I know it's rubbed me the wrong way a lot. The fact that, he took this page out of the newspaper to thank Cyclone fans, and that's great. And I'm so thankful he did that. But that was kind of his washing his hands of talking about Cyclone fans ever again. He goes to Penn State and says Penn State's the best fans in the country. Okay, well, I guess you're supposed to say that because you're the new coach of the school. But we literally were some of the best fans in the country. We were showing up for 3-9 seasons.
By the way, I just want to. Penn State fans were chanting "F Drew Aller." By the way,
correct.
When they lost to Oregon or something.
Correct.
So I think it's safe to say Penn State fans are not the best fans in the country.
Correct. So there was that already where it was like, okay, I guess he's supposed to say that because he's a new coach, so we won't hold that against him. Well, when you're now going on interviews and you're saying how hard was the transition from Iowa State, and all you talk about was I want to make sure I take care of my players. What about us? What about like, oh yeah, I love the Iowa State Cyclone fan base. I love what they represented. I love my decade there. You said that in a newspaper article. Why not bring it up in interviews? And so it was bad enough when he was just talking about the culture and we want this. And he's basically saying, Owen, the same things he said at Iowa State, which proves what? He cares about his own culture and his own agenda. The culture of Iowa State was Matt Campbell's culture. It wasn't the Iowa State culture. You know how I know that? Because he's saying verbatim the same things at Penn State. And he would much rather have a bland, no logo, white helmet. Oh, wait, that's what he has right now. So that's this is who Matt Campbell is. And that's before he takes a shot at Ames, Iowa. And I think when he took a shot at Ames, Iowa, that's when everyone was like, all right, bro. Like, you didn't have to say any of that. Just go on your merry way and talk about Penn State and be this great coach for Penn State that, you want to have a lot of success. We're not going to wish you success because you're not respecting who made you. Toledo didn't make Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell did a great job at Toledo. That's how he got the job at Iowa State. Iowa State made Matt Campbell just like Matt Campbell made Iowa State. So yes, we can respect what he did over the past decade. We don't discount any of that. But we can also say both things can be true. Matt Campbell is the best coach in Iowa State football history. Matt Campbell doesn't respect Iowa State football and the culture at Iowa State. I think both things can be true. And it's so apparent to me, Owen, that Matt Campbell only cares about his culture and his agenda to the point where he's choked up that players are coming and visiting him, not because they want to play at Penn State, it's because they want to play for Matt Campbell. That's what Brock Purdy told Rocco Becht. Hey, go play for Matt Campbell. Like, don't worry about what school it is, play for Matt Campbell. And that's all that Matt Campbell unfortunately cares about. And so I think that's what is hard for me in the past decade in knowing what he brought us through and brought us to the point where now we're respected. But at the cost of what? Where you're now going to leave a bad taste in our mouths of how we view you at Penn State. It's hard to see. It's hard to see. So
yeah, definitely. And I think the way that I would walk it through is, and you have to take some things into consideration too. If you're Matt Campbell, I mean, obviously he has a family.
He's got a mom with cancer. Yeah, he has a mom with cancer.
Yeah, closer to Happy Valley. And I think another part, and this isn't a bash to Iowa State athletics or anything, but there was a point. It just got to a point where Matt Campbell was doing really hot on the recruiting. Do you remember? I mean, Jet Tamala. I mean, he was bringing these 4-star kids in, and then he was just losing them to Alabama, Clemson, Michigan. Because they were getting out. They just didn't have. He wasn't able to utilize his resources for them like he is able to at Penn State. And that's understandable. If Penn State wants to go against the CSE compliance and spend $50 million on their football team, go right ahead, whatever. That's going to change sooner than later. But when it comes to, his legacy at Iowa State, I think you made a great point. Matt Campbell is a culture guy. He's all about culture. He's all about be the better version of yourself, get 1% better than yesterday, which is fine. But when you have coaches like this, it just doesn't make the sport feel authentic. It doesn't make having an alumni base, a fan base behind you, supporting you. It doesn't make it feel great when you go off and say things like that. You say, "Oh, I was choked up and I was in tears when they wanted to follow me." I mean, let's be honest. In today's world of college football, when you have a coach that leaves a team, especially with all the NIL, players are going to follow. So for him to go on, I think it was like Andy and Aries, the show or whatever, but for him to go on there and say and act surprised that all those players wanted to follow him, It's like I was sad.
Yeah.
I was just in tears. It's incredible. It's like, come on, Matt. We know he's bull crapping us.
And,
You
and,
know
and
he's
by
like,
the way, we're not, and this is what people keep getting misconstrued. I saw the Sound Off, which is an Iowa radio or sports TV show with Keith Murphy and I forget the other guy who did the video, John Sears. And they're talking about Cyclone fans, get over it. Get over Matt Campbell leaving. We're not upset he left. We're
no.
not even upset that he took players. We get that part of it. We get that's part of college
And
football.
we are getting over it. It's been
Like,
it sucked. There was pain for a
yeah,
couple weeks, but we've been over it. But when he goes on these when he I mean months later in the start of the off season and says these things, Angels of Food Desert. I was surprised that I was able to I just wanted them to be taken care of.
yeah.
You wanted them to follow you. You asked them to follow you. So why would you say that? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make a reference comparison here. Fred Hoiberg is a Cyclone. He's a loyal son for even though he coaches for Nebraska.
Yep.
One of Iowa State's biggest rivals. But do you know why he's forever a Cyclone? Because he didn't say things like that. He didn't bash his former school. He still has relationships and connections with people with Iowa State and Ames. Matt Campbell isn't going to have that if he keeps going on these national talk shows and radio shows and saying those kinds of things. He's just not. He's not going to be welcome back here. I mean, he's going to be remembered. His
Right.
legacy is going to be remembered. But his relationship with his former fan base, with everyone in Ames, isn't looking so good.
Well, and let's get something clear too. Like, and I think we just kind of like shoved this under the rug because Matt Campbell is such a great coach and did so much for Iowa State. He's not very emotional at all to people that he doesn't know. Like, if you think about interviews that he's had since he came to Iowa State, post-game interviews, pre-game interviews, all this different stuff, he's very callous towards people that he doesn't know. Like the Cyclone Fanatic guys, oh, he loves those guys. He knows those guys. Anybody else, he's not going to give you squat. He would literally lie about injuries, Owen. Like, he would lie about injuries of guys because he doesn't want to be a personable guy. I get that some coaches are like that, but at least play face. At least play face of like that you actually care about people outside your circle. But he doesn't. He doesn't care about people outside his circle. At least Jimmy Rogers is showing, I care about Cyclone football. He talked to Jamie Pollard. How can I be the coach at Iowa State? Like, that's what he wanted to do years before he even got the job.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Campbell would much rather have just no logo, no brand, no culture, the Matt Campbell University. That's what he wants. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want Iowa State University. He doesn't want Penn State University. He wants Matt Campbell University. Yeah. And that's great. Rocco Beck, Ben Bramer, Marcus Neal, you can all follow him and do that. Just know he's still going to be emotionless. He's still going to go by his culture. And when inevitably it doesn't work out at Penn State, which it will not work out because the Big Ten is a better conference than the Big 12 in football, when it doesn't work out, we're not going to feel sorry for everyone that left to go to that. Because you're following a great coach, but you're not following a guy who loves college football. You're following a guy who loves coaching and loves hearing himself talk and loves hearing himself give all these vague generalities so that he can keep stuff close to the vest and keep his people close to the vest. What happened to loving the Cyclone football? What happened to when Matt Campbell's going to Iowa State as a Toledo head coach and he said, I couldn't believe what Ames was, that they were still showing up and they were still packed. What happened to that Matt Campbell? He's gone. He's gone. And that's what happens when you get success sometimes. Is when you get success and you become this great head coach and the Lions start calling and Michigan starts calling and USC starts calling, the only person that's going to keep you around is your players. Forget the fan base. Forget the fan base.
You made a really good point where about when things do go south at Penn State. I think us as Iowa State fans are in a win-win situation here with Matt Campbell. And here's the two sides of it. Number one, he does well at Penn State his first couple years. He goes 10-2, 11-1 this year, makes the playoffs, and then we get a laugh at all the people who said, "Oh, Big 12 can't compete in the Big 10. Big 12 players they're not good enough to compete in the Big 10." And that is what it is. We say, "Oh, you were wrong. Big 12's legit. Give us some respect." The second The second side here is Matt Campbell underperforms expectations at Penn State, which is really which is what he is known for at Iowa State. Matt Campbell had Brock Purdy, Brees Hall,
Oh, dude,
Xavier
don't
Hutchinson,
go there.
Kenny Uwazurike, Will McDonald
Don't go
on
there.
the same team in 2021. He went 7-6. He went 7-6 with that team, ranked preseason top 10, top 15. Lost to Iowa by 2 scores in Ames on
I turned that
College
game off in
Game
the
Day.
third quarter. I turned that game off in the third quarter. It was one of the worst displays of a top 10 football team I've ever seen.
Matt Campbell prioritizes culture, player development, personal player development better than he does actual football standards. Let's just win games. Let's stop
Great
screwing
point.
around. Let's stop lining up in shotgun and 4th and 1 kind of stuff. We've gotten an impression that Jimmy Rogers isn't going to do. He's going to prioritize his culture, and he showed that. He's already showed that by dealing with the Jaden Jackson situation, a kid who was out partying, drinking, doing a bunch of stupid stuff when he's only a freshman. You're a freshman. You did good in the spring game, but if you want to have a big ego and act cocky and act like you're better than everyone else, get out. But he also said when he got the job, we're going to run single back. We're going to run heavy formations. We're going to ground and pound. We're not going to screw around. We're going to focus on football, focus on toughness, strength, fundamentals, and have a championship mindset. Matt Campbell didn't have a championship mindset. He even said it wasn't about winning the Big 12 championship for me. It wasn't about winning championships. And it showed. He lost 2 Big 12 championships.
I don't know what you can see at Penn State in that. I don't know what you can see from that guy and say that's the guy that's going to take us to a national championship.
And like I said, those are the 2 things that can happen here. And if he doesn't have at least anywhere from 9 to 11 wins, because the only losses I could really see on their schedule is USC, Michigan, and Washington.
Yeah.
So assuming they don't win any of those, which are going to be the best teams they play by far, because the Big Ten is the most top-heavy league in all of college football. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the rest are horrible. The rest are garbage. And so if he does end up underperforming expectations at Penn State in this first 1 or 2 years, he's on the hot seat. He can get fired. Penn State's not going to put up with that.
They
Penn State's
fired
been a
James
college football
Franklin.
blue blood for the past 10, 15 years.
They fired James Franklin after multiple double-digit win seasons and a playoff win. Like, we forget James Franklin won a playoff game.
Yep.
And it was like, nope, you started 0-3. You're out the door. What are they going to do to Matt Campbell when he goes 7-5? Like,
yeah,
it's
exactly. That's a perfect point. And so yeah, we're gonna be sitting, we're gonna be watching it, we're gonna be keeping our eyes on him. But when and if he does get fired or does lose that job, if he ends up underperforming expectations, who's he gonna go to? Is he gonna come back for fun with his extra millions of dollars he made at Penn State and move to a mansion in Ankeny and try and go to bars in Ames or Des Moines or show up at Iowa State football games and crank the horn like AJ Klein and no, he's not going to do that. He's not, because he's not going to be welcome back in Ames. He's not going to be applauded if he keeps making these comments and he keeps picking at these things with the Iowa State fan base that just strikes the wrong nerves with us.
Yeah, it absolutely does. So I'll be very curious to see. I literally went from I can't wait to watch Penn State to I can't wait to watch Penn State in a different type of mindset.
Yeah, totally.
And we haven't even talked about the Rocco Beck situation, which we'll have to do a whole nother podcast on, because
that's coming up soon. Stay
oh
tuned
my goodness, that whole topic might be even worse than Matt Campbell. But let's keep going. We're in off-season mode.
Yep.
Which means we're kind of reflecting. And when you reflect as an Iowa State fan, it's more often than not very painful. And you need to look no further than Iowa State men's basketball in March than to reflect on whether or not Iowa State men's basketball is actually cursed or not. Let me just lay out for you what we're looking at here from Iowa State men's basketball being cursed, and then let's talk about whether or not we actually believe that's true and whether or not we think the breakthrough can actually happen. So, In the past 12 seasons, Owen, Iowa State has had 3 of the best teams in program history. In program history. So if you're talking about 2000, Elite Eight, Marcus Fizer, Jamal Tinsley, that whole crew, there are 3 other teams since then that have been considered the best teams in Iowa State history, records-wise, talent-wise, everything, going into March. Every single one, not 1 out of 3, not 2 out of 3, all 3 out of 3 have had an injury either the week of the tournament or in the first game of the tournament. George Niang in 2014, breaking his foot. Keyshawn Gilbert's undisclosed injury that Iowa State fans were completely pissed off about until we realized that he was actually probably really hurt. Ended up being a groin injury. And then Joshua Jefferson just this last March with his ankle. And I think when that happened, that is when people realized, as Cyclone fans, we might actually be cursed. Because this was the team that was supposed to go to the Final Four. This was a team that was supposed to go, and we don't have to go into a whole season review and all this different stuff, but this was the team that was supposed to do it. I get Michigan was great. I get Michigan bullied everybody and blew everybody out. But Iowa State matched up with Michigan perfectly with Joshua Jefferson healthy. And what does he do? In the first 5 minutes of the Tennessee State game, rolls his ankle, basically the worst sprain ever. We find out he wasn't even going to play, Owen, until at least the Elite Eight. Probably not even until the Final Four if they got there. And now here we sit. In a year, by the way, this is the last little jab to the nuts. The Iowa Hawkeyes in the same year make the Elite Eight. After being irrelevant for 2+ decades.
Yeah. AJ, look, this is more than just a curse. I mean, this is something that it's once in 10 generations kind of thing. And the odds, like you said, these are the 3 since that 2000 team, the 3 best teams in Iowa State basketball history, each with an injury to a starting player. Not just any starting player, all Americans.
Yep.
Slam U players, all Big 12. I mean, this is unheard of. I mean, this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen, and this doesn't happen. This is, I remember the one for me was the 2024 team when you have Milan Momcilovic, Joshua Jefferson, Keyshawn Gilbert, Curtis Jones, Brant Chatfield. I mean, you have this
and Taman Lipsey.
You have this abundance, so much talent. That team was so talented. I mean, we knew after Iowa State obliterated Houston and made a Sweet 16 run in 2023, we knew what this team was capable of, and they showed it. They were up 18, 19 points on number 2, number 3 Auburn in that tournament a couple years ago, and they started 14-1 or 15-1. I mean, they were a really good team. And then what happens? Keyshawn Gilbert tears his groin or injures his groin, and that was a whole thing. But you can have conspiracy theories about that, and what opinions or what you think really did or didn't happen with him. But at the end of the day, he didn't play. He didn't play for Iowa State in the tournament. He wasn't able to go out there and drive to the rim and shoot threes and score 20 points, and take Iowa State potentially to another Sweet 16 or Elite Eight. And Curtis Jones as well. He was out for a couple games towards the end of the regular season. Milan Momcilovic was out for a month with a broken or a jammed pinky.
Broke his thumb, yeah.
Something his thumb. And so it's just mind blowing. All these injuries, and it sucks. And the part that sucked most about this year, this last year, other than it being another injury to a starting All-American, power forward, whatever. But it was like you said, Iowa makes an Elite Eight run. And now they have momentum going into the offseason. And honestly, when they try and talk crap and when they try and brag about it, we made it farther, you haven't done anything since the 90s.
You're 1 for 26. You're 1 for 26.
Here's the thing. I can respect Iowa basketball and I can respect Ben McCollum if he can prove that he's legit.
Yep.
Jerome Tang made an elite run, Elite Eight
Talk
run.
about it.
His
Talk about it.
his first year as coach. Why? Because he had players that he brought over. He had guys that he was able to hold up. Marquise Noel. I mean, he had these guys. He had these really talented 1-year guys that got it done for him. That got him there. What happened the next year? It just got worse and worse. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but it's, we've seen these types of flukes, these fluky things happen. It's college basketball. There's 76 teams in the tournament now. I mean, Iowa, the bubble last year was horrible. It was a really bad bubble. And if it was a good bubble, if it was a year where the bubble was, I would say even average, I could argue average, Iowa probably wouldn't have gotten in because their record against Quad 1 teams was terrible.
Yep.
They couldn't. I think they had only one win against a ranked opponent the entire season. Went 10-10 in Big Ten play, so they barely even made the tournament. So for them to boast and sit back and brag and yell and shout about making it farther than Iowa State, we made this Elite Eight run in Ben McCollum's first year. All hail Ben McCollum the Saint, whatever. Just tone it down a little. It's like. Congratulations, Iowa State. Our best player, arguably this decade, got hurt in the first game, so we don't know how far we would have made it. I would argue the Elite Eight. I'd put my life savings on us beating Tennessee if we had Joshua Jefferson.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not a Cyhawk podcast. We're a Cyclone podcast. But I will just say this. 2 things. 1, Ben McCollum is the coach that I respect and admire the most in the history of my life of Iowa basketball. There's not been another coach that I admire or actually respect from an Iowa basketball
team. It's been Fran McCaffrey for the past 20 plus years.
Right.
That's going recently. With
my
him
goodness.
And his family and all this
So
stuff.
that's one.
Coming out.
Number 2. Be careful what you wish for, Hawk fans. Be careful what you wish for. To Owen's point, I do not think Ben McCollum is Jerome Tang. But could the same thing happen where you don't ever get back? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will bet my life savings on the team that's gone to 3 out of the last 5 Sweet 16s, 3 out of the last 6 Sweet 16s, is a perennial top 10 team with a perennial top 10 coach. I will take that team over a fluky 3-game win streak where you beat a Florida team that didn't know what they were at that point. Yep. Yeah, Florida was a 1 seed. Yeah, Florida looked great and everything. Florida was off and on all year. Great win. Congratulations for being a 1 seed. Do it again. Do it again. That's all I'll say on that. But yeah, from the standpoint of just what you said, 2024, last year hurt a lot because I think that was the team that could have done it. We forget the year before, to your point. There were guys out and guys injured. Even in the midst of that, I think people forget this. The last game Iowa State played before the tournament, Curtis Jones dropped 22 points in 5 minutes. He was,
and we still lost.
and we still lost. We played a BYU team that was, I think, a lot better than people gave them credit for. We forget that because BYU is not very good anymore, and they don't play any good defense or whatever. But BYU was elite 2 years ago, and Curtis Jones dropped 22 points in 5 minutes. We're playing through injuries. Taman's playing through stuff. Keyshawn's playing through stuff. Josh Jefferson wasn't this top 10 player yet, but he was still really, really good. We already knew what Milan was about. That hurt just as much. I think each one of these, 2014, 2024, 2025, each hurt in a more unique way. But
definitely.
Past March, man, I mean, Milan shoots 50%.
To go the whole season, to go the whole regular season without anything, anything. There's nothing.
That's what was
our 8th guy, our bench guy's out. He'll be out a game or two. Nothing.
Right. I think what made this year the hardest is best shooting season of all time. Unanimous All-American for the first time since, what was it, Royce White or Pfizer or something? Like Joshua Jefferson was unanimous top 10 player in America. You go into March, people are picking Iowa State, Owen, to go to the Final Four. They're picking them to go to the Final Four. Do you know how many times that's happened in my lifetime as an Iowa State fan? When you go into the bracket and it's like, well, Iowa State will probably lose in the round of 32, they were picking them to go to the Final Four. We should have known. We should have known.
There was people for CBS who was picking Iowa State to win the national championship.
Yes, Mackenzie Brooks. She picked Iowa State to win it all. Yep. Like, Iowa State was a genuine national championship contender. We should have known, Owen. We should have known. As soon as those expectations happened, I mean, we just came off talking about Matt Campbell, right? As soon as expectations happen, throw it all out the window. It's not going to end well. That being said, I love what TJ Otzelberger's done for Cyclone basketball. I love what he's done for Iowa State University as a whole. I mean, talk about a night and day difference from what Matt Campbell has done and is doing to what TJ Otzelberger does on a daily basis for Iowa State. He loves Iowa State, met his wife at Iowa State, was an assistant coach at Iowa State, came back to Iowa State, and is taking Iowa State to new heights, and loves Iowa State Cyclones basketball through all of it. I believe him when he says our breakthrough's coming. I love when he said that in the postgame of that Tennessee game. Like, I genuinely think that's going to happen. Because all you have to do, like, it's not as crazy as it sounds. It's not like, well, this guy played better or this guy played better. No. All you have to do is be healthy. If Iowa State is healthy for one March run, you can go to the Elite Eight. Like, it is not as far-fetched as it sounds. Going to the Elite Eight is not as difficult as people make it when you're to the caliber of Iowa State. And that's what I think people have a problem with, and Hawkeye fans and Tennessee fans, where you're just like, oh, you guys weren't very good anyways. How do you know? When we were fully healthy, we were perennial.
In the non-con.
We were perennial top 5 team.
You would have lost by 30. You would
have
lost by
Purdue, 30. An Elite 8 team, by 20 on their home court. Beat Kansas, who I get isn't as good anymore. Beat Houston in a 48-hour period. Like, it was an insane regular season, one of the best in recent memory. All you have to do is be healthy. All you have to do is be healthy. It's not like if this guy plays better, this guy plays better. You just need to be healthy. And I think this upcoming year's team, and we'll do previews of the basketball and football season and stuff in upcoming episodes, but this upcoming team has the potential to do it because you still have the defensive talent and you have budding offensive superstars in Jamarian Bateman. What if Killian Torrey develops a jump shot? What if Dominicus Plata takes the next step? What if Leon Bond turns into a Skywalker at Hilton Coliseum?
Here's a name that could take off. Taj Manning from K-State. Keep an eye on him. We're gonna do a breakdown. We're gonna do an in-depth breakdown on this year's roster, and I think you guys are gonna like it. It's gonna be good.
We're excited because there's a lot to break down for that upcoming roster in upcoming episodes that we're gonna do. But I believe TJ. I don't think he's just saying our breakthrough's coming just to make Cyclone fans feel better. I genuinely think he thinks, man, like if we were healthy, we would have multiple potential Elite Eight runs, multiple potential Final Four runs. Like, and that's not being hyperbolic. Like that's the reality. If Iowa State's healthy, so just to comfort Iowa State fans and to kind of, I think, bring a realistic view for other college basketball fans watching from the outside of, Iowa State's not very good in the tournament. No, we just haven't had a fully healthy chance. We just haven't. The last time we had a fully healthy chance was 2023, and that was with a freshman Milan. So it wasn't like that we had this like unbelievable team. 2023 we were a 2 seed, but we were kind of like a sneaky 2 seed. It wasn't this great. 2024 we were a great 3 seed, and then Keyshawn Gilbert is gone. So it just it went very quickly downhill very fast, and I'm just excited to get this over with and to be an Elite Eight at some point soon because I think we have the potential to do it.
Yeah, definitely. And TJ's contract extension to over $6 million just goes to show he's going to be in Ames for a while. All right. Yep. And this isn't, he's no Matt Campbell. He's not a guy who's going to go taking bait or taking really any offers from schools like Kentucky or Carolina. He wants to be in Ames. He wants to coach at Iowa State. And Jamie Pollard, I think, has done a really good job at keeping him here and making those wishes of his stay relevant and stay true. I'm really excited that he's our head coach, and we couldn't be really in a better position anywhere else.
Yeah.
than without TJ Otzelberger. So I'm excited for the future, even though, the past it is what it is. It could have been different, but it is what it is. And the Sweet 16 still ain't bad. And we still got a long road ahead of us, and it's going to be sweet.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Really quickly, before we get out of here, I just realized this because we may not be on here for another episode before this decision is made. Milan Momcilovic has to make his decision about whether to stay in the draft or to come back to college by Thursday. So we're recording this on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Where are you at with Milan's decision, and what do you think he's going to do, and why do you think he's going to do it?
Well, AJ, Milan, he loves Iowa State. He loves TJ Otzelberger. He loves the culture. He loves the fan base, and he's shown that. I mean, he committed to TJ Otzelberger for a reason, and that was to develop into now one of the, if not the best shooter in all of college basketball in modern,
In the
modern
history
time.
of
Yeah,
college basketball.
and so when it comes down to this decision, I think from an on paper NBA talk standpoint, if he can get a one of these two things, a guaranteed contract or something where it's a good amount of money, and it's a contract where he knows it can benefit him and boost him into being a good long-term NBA player, and two, a spot in near the 27 to 30 range, or maybe a really early second round draft pick. So I think if he can get one of those two things, he's going to stay in the draft. But I mean, these schools like Kentucky, St. John's, I mean, they're throwing 5, 6, I've even heard $7 million at him, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And honestly, if he doesn't get a good contract, if he doesn't, if he's not guaranteed to go at a decent spot in the NBA draft, it's hard to blame him for coming back if he comes back to college and takes that amount of money. But
Yeah.
he's gonna be an Iowa Stater, but he could also be a Wildcat or a Red Storm, and that's what's gonna suck, because if he does come back and go to the NBA draft next year, Iowa State won't be on his draft under his name on his draft card. It's
Dude,
gonna be whatever school he goes to, and that's the worst part about it. But I definitely think Iowa State fans, even if he does decide to come back to college, should be on decent terms with him. Just knowing the circumstances, it's not Milan who made it this way. It's not TJ. It's not Jamie Pollard who made it this way. It's just the current state of college athletics and college basketball and the way things are. There's players from the NBA coming back to play college basketball. All right, it's crazy right now. It sucks. It's
Shout out
crazy,
Will
it's
Wade.
wild. I'm not even going to get into that. Will Wade, you're terrible for college basketball. I hope you fail and get fired in 2 years. But anyway, aside from all that, Milan will bleed Cardinal and gold forever, regardless of what happens, and we should be very thankful for what he brought to Iowa State, and the kind of records and shooting performances and wins that he achieved for us.
He's getting drafted, guys. Like, let's just be real. Like, he wants to be an NBA player. There's no way you can raise your draft stock higher than, I don't know, the best shooting season in college basketball history.
There's no only hurt it if he comes back. He can only hurt it.
He can only hurt it. You can't get any higher than that. And so this whole Jeff Goodman thing where I asked 10 NBA executives, this, that, or the other, stop it. Stop it. He wants to play in the NBA. And this idea that, second round picks often play in the G League. Milan Momcilovic is 6'9", can shoot the ball at a 50% clip from three. And you're telling me that NBA teams don't want that right away? I mean, I don't watch the...
You know who would really benefit for if he was on their team? The Spurs. Just imagine this, the Spurs. Milan doesn't play great defense. He gets beat off the dribble. Well, you have 7'4" Wembanyama behind you, so forget about that. Just shoot, just be a sniper from outside the arc and shoot threes, and
it makes total sense.
That'd be great.
It makes total sense for him to go into the draft. Like, and I get what you're saying, where it's like he wouldn't hurt Iowa State fans if he came back. He wouldn't hurt us necessarily because it's not his fault. But I tweeted this out, dude. If I see a on three or Joe Tipton post of Milan Momcilovic in a Kentucky Wildcats jersey, I'm jumping down a flight of stairs, dude. Like I don't want that. I don't want to see that at all. I want to see this man in the NBA be successful, to have Tyrese Halliburton, potentially Curtis Jones now, and Milan Momcilovic and Joshua Jefferson, potentially Taman Lipsey. Like, I want to see Cyclones in the NBA more. And I want the NBA to have a better product as well. It's twofold. But he's not going back to college, guys. Like, I know that money talks and all this different stuff. When are you going to get an opportunity to play in the NBA again? At this rate?
What if he gets injured? What if
it's
he
just
goes
not going to happen. What if he gets injured? What if he
injured?
blows out his knee? This is the time for him to do it. And I think in interviews he's making that point as well, that he cares more about the draft than he cares about money. And that just proves why Milan is a loyal son, forever true to Iowa State. Like, he loves Iowa State, and I think it's weird for him to think about being a part of any other college because he's not talked to any other college. I think we forgot that when he had this Zoom meeting with Kentucky, it was his representatives. It wasn't Milan.
It wasn't him. Yeah, no,
so
it was his
he hasn't talked to anybody, and so I think I would be shocked if he doesn't go into the draft. I'd be shocked because even a high second round pick, you're going to play right away. You're the best shooter in the draft, and you have size. So I think he'll be in the draft, and hopefully we're not reacting to what is it going to be like to play, Kentucky and Milan Momcilovic this year. That would suck.
Not. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
That would suck.
Yeah.
Anything else you got, brother?
I don't have anything else, AJ. Today was a good episode. Once again, we're Cyclone Central. Welcome in. We're live a couple times. We still haven't gotten scheduling figured out quite yet, but we'll get that more consistent times and dates to you guys as soon as possible.
Yeah, we're on X, TikTok, and YouTube. Check us out over there. Cyclone Kingdom and Top Tier Iowa State as well. Go check us out over there on our separate accounts. We got tons of great stuff going on there. Owen does a great job over at Top Tier Iowa State. So we'll be on here, as he said, multiple times a week, hopefully. And we got a lot coming down the pike with this offseason and previews of football and basketball and who knows what instant reaction news we're going to have to give of hopefully not different injuries and things like that.
It's the offseason, so anything can pop up.
Anything.
Stay tuned.
Anything could happen. But roll clones, baby. We're excited to do this.
Clones.
Thanks for joining on.